Couple of gamers doing gamer things. That game wasn't there. Ground Zero coming through with a huge W. And Ion started relatively strong, but maybe not as strong as our expectations were hoping. So we'll see what they're going to be able to do wrapping up into game 2. But I just don't know how to put my thumb on what went wrong for them this game. But fortunately, the biggest brain in the biz, who's hot on the scene, is Max, and he knows, or at least thinks he knows what went wrong.
I think I know what went wrong, Mac. I think it started very early, and it feels like a kind of repeated rhetoric that I kind of say every single game, but it really just rings true, especially in this one. It's a level 1 fight that I don't actually choose, right? They know that they have Zyra Khan. They decide to go for that early game 2 versus 2 and trade sums, but at the end of the day, they lose more HP, they lose wave control, and suddenly the enemy jungler's pathing down to their side of the map. They're getting Dove level 3 to 1, and from that point onwards, this Zyra Khan has a very hard time playing into the poke that Ground Zero can provide, because not only are they losing the 2v2, but Foreign is getting forced out of his bot side jungle as well. He can't walk up because of the priority. So just a simple mistake like that at the start of the game from Ion, and their inability to capitalize on their winning lanes in topside means that this game was just incredibly snowballed from the side of Ground Zero.
Yeah, it seems that, you know, it did really get out of hand towards the early game, and then even though we were talking to Nebula, he wanted to have a solid mid game again. He thought his mid game yesterday was really solid. Unfortunately, it just didn't look that way. And speaking of looking, Skimmy, look at this, huh? Damage all across the shop. It was actually old mate in the top lane doing all that damage for Ion.
He certainly was. I mean, we brought it up very, very early in that game, right, that it had to be either Nebula, Jovi or Doraemon that would look to try and carry that game across the finishing line and at least try and bring that back into contention, right? But we saw that one major moment, a fantastic flanking TP from Jovi, the equalizer comes out, and then the double kill, and you're thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance. But then you could see that the discipline from Ground Zero was to draw their attention all over the show. Doraemon not being grouped up with the team made it look a little bit difficult. The thing that stands out the most for me, Mac, is the amount of damage that Hwei did. Look at that. That's the support, by the way. They're building support items, and they're still doing nearly as much as that incredibly fed Lethality Varus, which to me is absolutely criminal. And I think speaks volumes, because the major turning point for me, right? I get that you're playing Zyra Khan, you want to be aggressive, you're getting outrange, getting outpoked, yada yada yada. But as soon as Xin comes down to bot lane, you're thinking he bails us out, right? He gives us that hard engage tool, gives the highway for the Rakan to then like jump onto and so on. They just hit a summon a hill, turn around and go, hang on a minute, we can actually just kill you as well. And then they're just 2v3ing, and you're thinking this game's over. But it's actually doomed at this point.
Yeah, bit of a cursed one, that one. But look, Team Ion, they have to learn that the curses can run out eventually. So hopefully, in game 2, it'll be a little bit smoother for them. Maybe they can shift up that comp, maybe not get too dumpstered in the bot lane with the comp counter. You know, sometimes it happens. If you lose the game in the draft, you've lost the game in the draft, no matter how good you play sometimes in competitive League of Legends. Now, what would you rather see them play down in that bot lane, Max? Because, you know, the Zyra can't. Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it shifts when they're on blue side now, because obviously there is the opportunity for them to take away the Varus and kind of flip that script on its head. That being said, I'm not sure whether they're actually going to go towards something like a Hwei themselves, right? Benvi is kind of unique in his almost over-eagerness to play these very aggressive supports in lane, and I'm not sure if that's something shared by the side of Ion as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they pair this Varus with. I think the Zyra Khan, conceptually, if you can bring your jungler down and have a 3v3 around that lane, you're feeling fine, right? The issue is just when your jungler's getting forced out as well, and your Zyra Khan can't do anything on their own. So look, I don't mind them taking the Varus themselves and just trying to build a bit more control in that second game.
Well, hopefully they can make that one happen. What did you think about mid? We did that highlight at the pre-match. We were looking at how the mid laners were going to match up. Did Kisei just have too much of a gap there, Skimmy, or were we, you know, hoping it was going to be closer than what it was?
I think yes to no. I think Jovi had some pretty good reads on rotating bot first of all to actually salvage something from that initial very early on play. But I think, yeah, the fact that the Lethality champion will spike a little bit quicker, right? Obviously, the rest of the team is doing really, really well, so it makes it very hard then for Jovi to try and impact not only his own lane, but then assist elsewhere. So I think we saw that one roam bot, and that was basically it. Obviously, you got the TP topside to try and help bail them out from that Doraemon double kill. But, I mean, overall, I think Jovi did as best as he probably could, given the circumstances. It's a pretty rough game. I'm still putting a lot of my faith in him to try and be the star, the shining spotlight for game 2.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he can. Of course, you know, you've heard it all around the Rift that top lane is kind of just one of those roles, man. You know, you can have the best top laner in the league, and sometimes it doesn't help. Sometimes it does help. I'm thinking of Bio when I think of the best top laner in the league, but that's just me, and I don't know if everyone thinks that, but I hope that they do, because Bio deserves it.
He's the GOAT.
Keep on keeping on, but he's not here. Let's talk about you guys, huh? In chat, you're here, you're watching. From the fans, we didn't get to do it at the start because we had too much fun with the champion conundrum.
Not
I
again.
I wish I could just
Not
summon
again.
it every time I did it, man. But look, from the fans, what got you into League of Legends? What's your story? Let's see what you guys have sent in. We've already gone through plenty of great stories this week, and we have Salan. One of my friends wanted me to play, so he showed me the Warwick and Zarya plus Rakan cinematics, and I thought they were sick. So I went through every page of the champions and picked out the ones I wanted to play. My first main was Kalista Lamau.
I will attest to that Warwick cinematic being absolutely sick. The one where he gets reworked and he's like chasing that person throughout the streets of Zorn. That is just mental. Just incredible production value.
Yeah, there's been a few. My favorite cinematic, I haven't watched them all, but whatever it was, there was like the good song for Worlds about like 3, maybe 4 years ago, and it was when when Silas was there doing the chains, and it was like the Broken Castle one.
Yes.
Yeah. That wasn't that like a season opener?
Was it
that
an
a season
opener?
opener one?
I thought it was a
I have
Worlds
no idea.
thing. Maybe it was an opener, but whatever.
It was
that
with
one
Lux as well, yeah?
I think so. Is
Yeah,
it?
that
Is it
one was sick.
Guardians? Is that the song?
There's like a Rise.
Super epic one.
Rise was really good.
Oh, we got time. Anyway, we got more to look at from the fans. It's not just about
That's a good way,
League
though.
of
It's a good way to
Legends.
get into games, isn't it?
You
You
know,
get beta
the
about the
music.
cinematics.
That's it, man. That's it. Who else we got? What do we got? From JB. I had dabbled off and on since about 2013, but the 2018 World's opening ceremony for KDA really made me want to be a part of the community and play the game. There you go. So,
Is that what you're
I
talking
know
about,
what
Mac?
kind of man you are.
maybe no, it's not the KDA one. I'll find it. YouTube.
Yeah, opening ceremonies, cinematics, watching like a major international tournament. Those are all really good ways to get certainly baited into trying something out.
Was it 2019 where they had the Elder Dragon fly around? I remember it was Fnatic versus IG in the World's Finals, and they had
remember
this,
that
it was
one.
probably 2018, and they had the Elder Dragon fly around. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
You weren't a
in
fan?
esports.
You weren't a fan of the COVID Worlds in 2020 in China, and it was like the Galio with the PS2 graphics? I was a big fan of that one.
No, I don't remember that one. I probably
don't
just
remember?
Zoned it out.
Oh,
No.
that one was
2020, no.
There's a playlist with all of the cinematics, but they're not in order of them coming out. So just really
lovely.
annoyed me. But surely it's easy.
Warriors?
Warriors. It's Warriors. That's the one I'm thinking of.
That's the Imagine Dragons one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That
one.
was so good.
That
was
cinematic was dope,
yeah.
man. That song. But look, yeah, sorry we didn't get your guys in. We just got caught up in cinematics because Riot knows how to make a good bloody cinematic, don't they? Game prediction time. Gamma. Twitch pointies in. They're up there. Maybe not that. Like, I need to lower my angle. It's more like here, isn't it?
a little bit up.
Over that way. Get your Twitch points in. Let us know how you think this game's going to go. Is it going to be the 1-1? Is Max's predictions going to get salvaged, or me and Skimmy on the bloody money and catching up to Max? Oh, that's on the cards. And so's game 2. But of course, we got to go to a break before we jump into that. We'll see you in a minute for Ion and GZ.
Sunsets, high rise, you know you're on the floor, diamonds, good light, walking the golden door. Everybody knows that you want it more. Ice cold to the touch, we're gonna burn it down, bodies so hot until we hit the ground. Everybody knows that you want it more. It's not my fault. I don't wanna talk about it, not tonight. No, you probably think about it, but it's fine. Playing all the same, you know there's no amount. 'Cause money makes the world go round. I don't see a problem till it makes me sick. Dollars by the minutes, I'ma spend it quick. No talking me down, yeah, I'm doing it now. 'Cause money makes the world go round. Spend it till it's all out. This is all I feel now. Money makes the world go round. Spend it till it's all out. This is all I feel now. Money makes the world go round. I don't wanna talk about it, not tonight. No, you probably think about it, but it's fine. Playing all the same, you know there's no.
Here's the reason that Kevy's after becomes Tavares. Forced out of the stopwatch. It's carnage. They're all charged at his command. Oh, kaboom! It's do or die. Well, a commanding victory in game one there from Ground Zero gave them the lead and gave them the series really to try and say, oh, we won it in 26 minutes. Surely we can look to replicate that again in game number 2. And the question then falls upon Ion. They get blue side. They get their chance to choose, quote unquote, a better bot lane. And we're hoping that could be the easy band-aid fix to try and turn this one around.
Fingers crossed. I think it will take a lot to be able to turn around from that game one. It was just complete dominance from Ground Zero around the bot side of the map. I'm hoping that this game we can see some adjustments being made, and the Poppy being taken away is one of them.
Stodier's very reactionary ban to what gave them a fair deal of troubles in that previous game. Obviously, the denial of mobility being the key aspect of that, and a fair few stuns as well, primarily looking towards that bot lane. Otherwise, much the same, right? The Senate is still going to be looking like a champion that will be denied in tandem with a Karma. I'm curious, though, whether or not Iron would be looking to ban that away on their side, or if they were to flex into that. But no, they've actually said, you know what, screw the meta. We're just banning away what works so well for you individually.
Yeah, very interesting here. I wonder whether Ground Zero will last ban this Ashe here, or whether they will leave that upright. It leaves a lot on the table for the AD carry and support role, and there it is, Skimmy. So we could be seeing this first pick come through.
100% presence, and it reigns supreme again, really. Question becomes, will this be a AD carry or will this be a support? Obviously, very flexible and very strong in both variants. Let's see then what Ground Zero's response is to this, because you'd have to imagine, okay, let's say a lack of mobility again. We could just, you know, hover champions like the Zac and punish them in the same vein too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you pick Ashe and you see a Zac response, you are absolutely afraid just because of how hard it is to navigate that game, especially anytime you don't have Summoner Flash available. So, like you said, I think the big question mark now is whether Ion want to put this in the support or AD carry role. I think obviously in AD carry, you do need to have some more damage coming from the rest of your comp, purely because Ashe isn't one of the, you know, highest DPS AD carries. Obviously still strong in its own right, but certainly not going to be melting through enemy champions. So, looking to round out their comp here, I would say I would like to see something in that kind of top lane as a response to Zac that could be a kind of carry pick. We do have things like the Darius available. We do have Fiora available. Champions that can actually get through this incredibly tanky top laner.
Which is what we're really hoping for, right? We want some way to try and punish this champion, because TN at times has certainly looked quite susceptible in laning phase, and Doraemon is quite keen to entertain that idea of going for those 1v1s. Certainly had his match with the Rumble, but the Caitlyn comes out, another champion that's certainly been on the fringes, but if you're looking for all the poke harass, if it's living a little bit rent-free in you, what happened to you in that last game, then this is certainly a way to try and answer back.
I mean, just a very dominant, very high-range bot lane that they've picked up for themselves now. So really, Ground Zero need to look to either defuse this with something like another Enchanter, or screw it and slam the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, let's not just have a passive laning phase. You know what? We're going to show you how to play the engage into the harass lane, and I'm quite excited for this one, right? Blitzcrank's certainly a champion that gets picked very far and few between, but when it does get picked, it almost feels like one of those champions similar to an Ezreal. You need a pilot to play this champion properly, because otherwise it just feels like you're kind of griefing.
Oh, absolutely. If Blitzcrank can't land those hooks, he is essentially useless in the lane, especially against an Ashe Caitlyn. If they're able to get the wave priority, you know, without any interference from Ground Zero, they will just make this Blitzcrank useless, right? He will just turn into this mid-late game hook bot. So it's really going to come down to how these early levels are played. I wonder if they're looking for anything potentially in a level 1 as well to really just spice it up, throw off some summoners from the side of Ion.
We certainly saw what happened when a level 1 took place when he went into Bliss and, or rather Antic, and we saw how well level 1 strategy can work in that regard, right? Completely zoning out the enemy jungle and making life a little bit of a living misery. Aatrox and Xin are going to get taken away, so really looking to try and put a bit of emphasis now on Foreigner and say, all right, what do you want to play? The Maokai's been denied. Nocturne was also our pocket ban in the last game. Is it as simple as saying, well, maybe I just go back to that Jarvan and Vi?
Yeah, look, I think Jarvan pretty high value here for both sides, really, given their mobile carries that are present. I also am wondering about the mid lane champion pool. Looking at this game, I would almost guarantee Kisei is trying to float the idea of an Akali.
100%.
Whether his coach actually lets him pick it will be another question, but just into that double 80 carry and into the Azir, it's a decent matchup that you can survive the laning phase and just be an absolute menace throughout the game, but you already have the Zac, so why not get the highest value win wall you've ever seen?
Absolutely. This is what we're saying we wanted to see from the Xin last game, right? A Crescent Guard on a CD like that win wall. Be able to block so much of this harass. Question becomes then, what is the jungle pairing? We've already seen a Diana Yasuo. Something else with a little bit of more mobility or a bit of a knock-up potential, right? Otherwise, you're fully reliant then on the Zac and perhaps even just the knock-up from a Blitz.
The thing is, Skimmy, is I wouldn't be surprised if Ground Zero are open to moving that Zac into the jungle as well, right? Schönfire has a bunch of experience on this champ, and Ground Zero as a team typically tend to value TN having a decent laning phase. So with his Gragas picked up, that's always a possibility. I do really like this pickup here, just because of the disengage potential it provides, right? If that Elastic Slingshot is ever cast, this Gragas should, in theory, be able to negate that. And rounding out with Viego as well, so really going all in on this idea of skirmishing, throwing some arrows, blowing one target up, and taking the fight over from there.
Certainly are hoping for that one very quick and easy reset. There's a world in which I was wondering, perhaps Rel seems attractive for another sort of way to engage and get aggressive, but he says, you know what, we'll run it back with the brand again. We saw this before for their matchup against Mammoth, actually, where they had the Zac top and Brand in the jungle. Obviously, incredibly fast clear, and I'm curious then, because it seems like there's almost polar opposites between what these junglers want to do. On the one hand, Foreigner wants to be ganking, wants to be targeting lanes, wants to get himself ahead individually, whereas I'm sure Schönfire is quite content just to farm, hit his item spikes, get those void grubs, and sort of set sail into the sunset.
Well, that's what I think Schönfire's picked up on here, right? He understands what Viego's objective is this game. It's to get towards that bot lane. Now, if there's a champion who can get to bot lane at level 4 faster than Brand, I'd be very surprised, right? This champion is incredibly fast at clearing. He will be able to get down there and have that level advantage very quickly. So I think that's what Ground Zero are really wanting to head towards, right? They want to make sure he's able to get down there, make an impact as quick as possible, and really spice his bot lane up so there's no disastrous CS gap like we saw in the last game.
But it does, at least in my mind here, Max, feel like another game that is fully centralized around the success of your bot lane. You're going to win or lose and die on that sword, really, in terms of if there's Caitlyn and Ashe fall behind. What can they really provide rather than a little bit of ranged harass on a fairly lengthy cooldown, as opposed to something weird dictating the pace of you can't step into this river, you can't go for this objective, we can see you at every given turn with the Hawk shots, and there's lines of traps to prevent you even getting in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. That is going to be what it comes down to here, really, and going to be interesting to see how Foreigner paths, right? Last game, because he took an extra camp on his full clear, he was late to the bot lane, and that's what started, really, this whole spiral for the side of Ion. So hopefully he has learned his lesson. Ion as a team, I think, are a very well-coached organization in that they're willing to make mistakes the first game and then come back and fix them up and really not make those same errors in game 2. So I'm hoping that that punishment that they received in game 1 becomes a learning experience, becomes a lesson here for game 2.
Well, you certainly hope so, because it doesn't really get much easier for them, right? This sort of hell week has really fallen upon them from what was a very gentle and easy way to welcome yourself as a newcomer to the league. And it's now really kicked off, and you're only halfway through the battle of the big dogs. And the big dog today will be Ground Zero. The matchup I'm most excited for, as much as bot lane has a priority, it is in mid lane. We've already highlighted that both Jovi and Kisei are the ones to keep your eyes on. But this Yasuo, I'm really keen to see how Kisei can pilot this.
Yasuo is always a fun champ to watch, especially with the amount of CC that Ground Zero have, right? I'm looking at this Zac in particular. If he gets one good engage that isn't countered by Gragas E or buy an Azir ultimate, you can guarantee Kisei will be diving in there, and he gets so much value from this win wall against this double AD carry comp that even if he does jump in, he can feel relatively safe with the space that he can create through that ability. So going to be really interesting to see how these fights play out. It's going to really come down to the kind of engage versus disengage little mini game that will go on between these two rosters.
Certainly will be plenty of little mind games there to try and eke out any kind of advantage, and we've already, I suppose, been demonstrated what happens when that advantage completely snowballs out of control. Just a rogue level 1 trade, and the next minute that lane is completely blown open. Well, let's see. It looked like there was potential murmurs of a level 1 fight with Blitzcrank positioned in the mid lane. Ultimately, decides not to go for anything much more than just showcasing that they could have done it. And just going to return back to bot.
Most useless trading of all time is what happens in this top lane here with a Zac versus Gragas, both with Grasp, Doran Shield online for TN. So not really expecting anyone to be forced out of lane here if Doraemon manages his mana correctly. So basically, the usefulness of these two champions is going to come down to how they can part them in team fights. We can already see bot lane level 1, this double AD carry composition that Ion have picked up for themselves is going to enable them to get the push early on, to hopefully get a little bit of wave control, ultimately wanting to stack those 3 waves and either pressure the turret or move into the enemy jungle for some vision.
Let's see if they can be successful with that objective in mind, right? Obviously being very aggressive in pushing this wave as much as they can, keeping the likes of Lemus and Benvi at bay, but they understand that. They know exactly what the game plan is. They're not going to take unnecessary damage if they can avoid doing so, so they are going to concede this one. Level 2 going across, as to be expected.
Whoa.
Nice cheeky hook attempt, though. We don't mind those.
And that's the thing really in this lane, is that a single hook at any point can be absolutely disastrous for Ion, right? They can play 5 minutes of fantastic League of Legends using the waves correctly, but the second a hook lands, it all goes awry. You start losing summoners, you start losing kills, and you start losing the advantage that you've built up. So they're always going to have to be on guard. They're not going to be able to really let themselves recover. As we can see already towards this bot lane, Shernfire is here, but Foreigner's matching his clear speed quite well.
Certainly is, which is promising. Promising signs, especially given that you don't really expect the level 3 classic of a Shernfire gank to take place on a Brand, but if it were, he would be in the right area. Obviously, Brand does still offer a fair bit of CC with his kit, and a whole bunch of damage too. So back to your previous point, right? All it does take is that one hook, and with Flash Up and available, you can certainly just look to try and burn that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming Benvi has the Hex Flash as well, right? So a nice little Hex Flash trade at this point wouldn't go amiss. But wave control back in the hands of Ground Zero. And interestingly, Foreigner's actually opted to head back up towards this top side here for the Scuttle Crab, not wanting to fight. So Ground Zero should have an opportunity after this wave to take a base, get a reset, and hopefully work your way towards that Serrated Dirk on Lemus.
Hopefully it work his way back into a position of power is what he'd be hoping for here. As a nice trap acts as a wall, gives the vision to the bot lane of Ion here to realize that, we're actually in a bit of trouble. If that hook connects, then it certainly could be lights out for us, but it does not matter because a different jungler gank happens in the mid lane. Foreigner's got himself that first blood. Benvi falls on down. Summoner Hill just was not enough, and the piercing arrow barely is not enough also to take down Nebula, but they're limping on low HP. Shernfire trying to burn them down. Flash is coming out. Rain of arrows falling
Minions
on down. Flash forward again, and he can't get it too. Will he burn? Is the Ignite enough? I don't think it is.
Oh my goodness, what a close fight there. You can see the minions versus the Brand passive working their way to take off those last remaining HP bars. But ultimately, just a nice capitalization from Ion here, right? You can see in the mid lane, you know Yasuo has to be aggressive in this lane if he wants to get waves in. Foreigner notices that, takes advantage of it, and gets the kill. And meanwhile, bot lane, look who the target is that's getting DPS'd here. Nebula creates space with that 90 caliber net to allow Hexflash, who has this barrier, to stand and deliver the damage, and that's what enables this to be a play going in the favor of Ion.
It's just really nice spacing, right? Weaving into those auto attacks, trying to play skill shot simulator, dodge that one, step this one, even cop the damage to the face and still survive. It's phenomenal. But it is also worth noting, despite us missing that first blood and catching the tail end of it, that Kisei has retained his flash. He knew that he was dead. He wants to retain that for the level 6 play.
Yeah, importantly, having that in this lane is quite crucial, just because you need to have that extra mobility either to avoid an Azir shuffle or to make a play of your own, right? It is very hard against an Azir who can always Shurima shuffle to get out of dodge, to actually get on top of him when you don't have those minions available. So yes, he goes down, but keeping the flash is something you'd be happy with.
Yeah, it can almost be a little bit too easy, too predictable in terms of you're seeing him dashing through that minion wave. You're thinking, well, he has to go for this one here. I can premeditate the ultimate, the Emperor's Divide, and scoop him down underneath the turret for an easy second kill. But it's some promising signs, right? That Foreigner does decide to say, look, I don't want to go for that fight in the bot lane. I'm going to wrap around for the Scuttler and just really target this mid lane, saying that maybe bot lane is not where I want to put my emphasis on. They should just win on their own as a Caitlyn Ashe. And look, honestly, it feels like their faith was rewarded in a way. It was obviously a very messy fight, but I would still say they came out on top.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something they discussed there, because if I'm Kisei, I'm not really expecting the Viego to be coming from the angle that he did, right? Obviously, he decided to just completely flip the map from his Krugs and attack mid from that top side. I wonder if they discussed with the fact that they could probably survive the dive in the bot lane. They felt confident in their ability to do that, or it was a matter of mechanics. We come back to live here. You can see Hexflash getting out towards this mid lane, making sure that any pressure in this lane is going in favor of the blue side.
Well, it gets even worse now, because I just caught wind of Hexflash achieving the blue buff, right? A blue buff Ashe is just volley after volley. It's going to be unrelenting. It's going to be pretty annoying to try and deal with as well. Out comes the Hawk shot, revealing that, yep. In fact, Ground Zero are looking to try and take some of these Void Grubs, as to be expected of a brand, but we're going to deny them of getting much more than just one.
Yeah, and it's just the support difference there, right? You can see Benvi was still hovering in that bot side river, not able to actually get up on the same pace as the Ashe, who has those tier 2 boots completed. So a nice little use of that support tempo advantage to take those 2 Void Grubs in their favor.
Wonder what they're thinking then, with the clear indication that we didn't want to rotate our support up on that occasion. Sure, like a Blitzcrank may not be as strong in the roams as a Ashe would be. It does mean that you can certainly own this bot lane in that 2v1. Maybe having a similar story there in terms of building up a huge CS lead, which is already the case, right? We're already double again in favor of Limus on this Varus.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. Feels like any lane Varus is picking, it's going to have a good go of things. But Nebula actually being very respectful here, as the mid lane is just going to use ultimates to trade there. But it's really well played by Nebula, right? Doesn't want to take the risk here. Obviously sees Brand towards that top side, knows that it's probably not going to be a 3 versus 1 dive, but still doesn't want to take any risk that he could get hooked by Benvi, lose his HP, and then lose his TS anyway. So waits for Hexflash to come back to the lane. The cost of that will be, however, this Dragon in favor of Ground Zero.
It certainly will be. You can deny us from one thing, but you can't take it all. So they'll be very happy with that one. It's worth noting that Benvi has that Hexflash up and available, and will no doubt be looking to use that one on Cornan. As I say, there it right is. So
Perfect timing.
ready to rock and roll and make sure that he can try and bait out some summoners from his opposition.
Yeah, that's the important thing here, right, is taking advantage of this window when Nebula doesn't have Flash. In competitive, obviously timing those summoner spells, so you have a pretty firm idea of when that's up. The Chain of Corruption is on.
It certainly is on, but Benvi's, oh, that's not what you want there, mate. He's hit the minion, and I'm sure Limus is giving him a bit of a scolding right now. But maybe, just maybe, they're actually kind of grateful, because that would have been a jungle gank.
Yeah, unfortunately that minion is an absolute hero from the side of Ion and blocks that hook, but you can see towards the top lane, Tien forced to flash. I imagine he procced the aggro with his Barmy Cinder and then ate an absolute ton of CC.
He's just gone for the ult, just to actually life leech back up, hasn't he, at this point? He said these two should just be fighting it out for the grass stacks, and they are just the battle of sustain more than anything.
Yeah, low HP on Zac is always so deceptive, right? The amount of health you get back from your blobs is just absolutely ridiculous. In conjunction with the fact that you don't really cost much health at that stage to really use those abilities, so really good champion to be in low health, and even though Doraemon is fairly healthy, his lack of mana means that Tien is actually the victor in this exchange.
He certainly is such a strong champion for that prime reason. He's still worth noting, and I suppose congratulating also for Foreigner with his great work in this game. He's really been keeping up on tempo with the farm that this brand has achieved. And also with that first kill too. This is the perfect start for a Viego, right? This is what you want. You want to explode into a strong position and certainly not replicate the 0-6 Xin.
Yeah, certainly having a much better run of things at this stage, right? I think it helps the fact that you're not constantly having to bail out one of your lanes. It certainly is nice to have a mid laner that you can play around. As we see Jovi getting aggressive, he's used his Q's, Gimme.
He certainly has. Oh, good dash away though, dodging out that hook. That could have been a bit of a disaster there, but Schoenfire is aggressive in the jungle, cutting off the second support, keen to rotate up into the mid lane. There will be no assistance from him today. He might even be forced to go back to base, because I feel like that's a bit of a risk to take if you go down to bot side. But here we go, looking for more. Foreigner! Oh my gosh, he had to flash that one, but one more tick would have done it.
Ion are so lucky this game with the amount of times they've escaped on low HP from a burn there, but You can see, once again, this jungle support linking up from the side of Ground Zero, making it really hard for Foreigner to even walk in, eating a full brand combo every time. And Lemus,
He's found the hook this time. Lemus, oh, and look at that. He gets the kill onto Hex Flash, who we already said was very low and shouldn't be there, but then the hook onto Nebula burning a flash. That's what Blitzcrank's designed to do.
Kisei Tornado lands. He did have the last breath available as Schönfire.
Oh, that's a beautiful flash there, completely baiting out Jovi. Too much time to try and put that one together, but he completely read it.
Read him like an absolute book here, and the present... Oh! As we have another kill in the bot lane, Lemus on this Varus 40 CS up. It feels like this champion, once ahead, is so hard to stop.
Just looking at the player camera, you can see a cheeky little smirk on his face thinking, you can have whatever you want. I will just lock in Varus and I'll just still win.
Feels like it right now, as you can see that Ion wanting to stem the bleeding here, wanting to get up towards these grubs, but Benvi's here and Ash isn't.
It certainly is. Baby doesn't have the ultimate to try and silence him right now, but it doesn't matter. He's still got the hook, and that hook means it's easy for Kisei to use that last breath, get that kill, and have the boys to back him up. And this time, you're not denying these Void Grubs.
It's all starting to fall apart for Ion here. They played such a meticulous early game, but it feels like that one little invade into the bot side was too much. The pressure from these solo lanes, both getting shut under their turrets, as Jovi forced back to his tier 2 turret because of this Blitzcrank.
Yeah, the cross-map arrow there, not enough. The timing, a little bit too late. There is the pressure in mid lane. It already pushed Jovi back, as you said. And look, we're starting to find the makings of a Ground Zero snowball once more, right? 11 minutes into this one, up by 2,500 gold. And we'll see exactly what went wrong here, because for all intents and purposes, Lemus is gone. He's going back to base, but we know, like in last game, he wants farm.
No.
And why is the 90 caliber net gone that way? He's handed him a freebie.
Oh, he's panicked, Kimmy. Like you said, he probably assumed Lemus had base there, not really respecting the damage to come out, and just a panicked 90 caliber net. And now this is a Varus sitting on a Yomu, sitting on a serrated Dirk, compared to just a Noon Quiver and a Courtier Shard on this Caitlyn.
Yeah, we've seen this story before. We know how this ends. Varus this far ahead this early on just snowballs out of control. I think the difference last game was like 2.5 items over his opposition. It's sad. Yeah, it's rough to say the least right now. So it feels almost like the Blitzcrank experiment has, to a degree, been fairly successful, but for that very first play that happened with everybody coming together. And now underneath the turret, they're going to go for another turret plate, and they've forced the attention of Foreigner again to say, please help us. Out comes the cleanse, no chain of corruption, no blight, one shot today. Good flash from Hex as he gets himself out, burns double himself. It almost feels like you need to plant your bot lane mid now.
Yeah, I mean, you need to escape the situation somehow. All Benvi needs to do is really just stand next to the wave, wait for Lemus to poke, and you know good things will happen, right? Nebula has to cleanse the chain of corruption. He know he will get killed as the hook.
Nice
Narrowly misses.
Good trying to crystal arrow from the base coming out there, but this is what Foreigner's been drafted in this champion for. He's here to play cleanup. He becomes the Blitzcrank. And he's looking to be the Heartbreaker right now, but Schönfire posturing position, ready to take them all on in a 1v3. Doesn't have the luxury of a flash this time, but Jovi's not even going to hit that Empress Divide. He's going to get stunned, burned, and patted on down, uses it as an escape tool, as he's so concerned here of Kisei, who steps on a trap, realizes he can't do much more than that, and will come falling on down, distraught in despair, but Nebula's got a kill.
Finally, Ion stemmed the bleeding. They managed to find that return play. Crucially, however, they don't take down Lemus. It was a bit of a jump scare mechanically from Doraemon after he TP'd in, but purely the numbers advantage is able to secure them those kills, and much needed to get this Caitlyn back into the game.
Certainly was much needed, and that's helped to stabilize what was about to become a rather ballooned open gold lead here for Ground Zero. Also worth noting that TN's had a much stronger performance here in the top lane with a sizable CS lead. But we'll see how it all starts initially, because the arrow that comes across after the hook, but it's been Foreigner being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, it's Benvi getting a little bit overconfident, not realizing the minions were dying, and that's going to result in him going down. It gives the Blitzcrank body over to Foreigner, and crucially that gives him the one reset. Whilst Doraemon's busy missing every spell that he has, you can see Jovi gets down on towards Schönfire and kills him off, allowing these low HP members of Ion to actually get back into this, right? You can see the second reset coming through, giving Foreigner that brand body to play with as well. And all 5 members of Ion commit, and all 5 of Ion members are rewarded as well.
They certainly are. All get a bit of gold, a bit of assist money for their efforts, and look, it helps It certainly does help, but it still needs so much more because you're still absolutely terrified about the fact that Lemus has found himself in that same position again, up by this amount of gold. Nearly 7,000, only 14 minutes in. Again, he's got that 2-item spike, and you're just thinking it shouldn't be this easy.
Yeah, it feels too easy for Lemus at this stage now, and you do wonder where Ion are going to try to attack him. You can see that any time that he's with this Yasuo, landing an arrow will be really hard, right? But if he's by himself, there is no cleanse actually available, so there is always a window where they could just throw a Hail Mary arrow and try to take him down. But they succeeded with the 5-man before the side of Ion did it, and it looks like they're trying to go for that again. They're all on this control ward.
It's a bit of a jump scare right now, but Schoenfire's not going to fall victim to that once he chucks up that one. Actually flashes into the Ash arrow, gets hit by the bomb, but doesn't really care because they say, we've got a Blitzcrank, we've got a hook, and we've got a kill target. You've all been silenced. You can't flash away. If you do flash now, it's a little bit too late. Double for Lemus. Absolute Australian sniper here getting it done. And all that Doraemon and Jovi can do is look at their team and say, guys, we're not winning even with the face check tech.
They tried to pull an ambush, but it was them that actually ended up getting ambushed themselves. You can see the second that Brand W lands, Ion tried to pull the trigger, but simply their engage is not cohesive enough. The Ash arrow hits, but it hits a target who's already flashed away, creates the distance. Then the Gragas E misses, and suddenly you have nothing to start the fight, and all you can do is watch as this Varus absolutely unleashes on your team.
He certainly does. 5-0, 1K shutdown. We're barely halfway into this game right now. They'll finish what they started. Initially, it was all about this Rift out. They've guaranteed it now with all 5 members here. The question becomes, where do they look to go next? Because it all starts with Schoenfire saying, this looks a little bit too sus.
Yeah, definitely looking a bit too suspicious there. You can see the nice little flash to create distance. A dodge from Benvi as well means that all that initial engage has failed. And look at Tien on the backside, just bouncing around. This Zac is basically unkillable at this point, so he can just jump in, wait for the rest of his team to get in, and Jovi narrowly escapes.
Certainly do. And they'll be happy that they were able to keep themselves intact because it feels very much like the Foreigner show right now. They need a stun, a hook, a kill of any kind of magnitude here to make sure that this Viego can run with it. But it's a squishy champion, very susceptible to the CC. And needs that time to ramp things up, especially when we sort of like the Kraken Slayer Viego come out to play. It's not going to be anywhere near as easy now, as those should quite rightly point out, right? Tien, when he bounces on their head, all that lifesteal, I mean, he's healing all the damage you're doing.
Yeah, at this point, right, you have a Caitlyn who only has Stormrazor. You have an Azir who's decently strong on this Nash's Tooth, but still not really going to be able to get through this Zac anytime soon. And so any 5v5 becomes really problematic, right? Ion needs to start looking at other avenues to actually gain a foothold back into this game, whether that's a side landing Azir with an Ash arrow over the top of his head, because right now, anywhere that Ground Zero move with numbers, they control.
They certainly do, and they know they have all this freedom on the map to rotate as they please, right? 3 towers to nothing. They're just roaming and replanting vision to say that your line of defense goes thinner and thinner and further back towards the safety of your fountain. But that's not where they can be. They need to sort of set themselves up with these continued ambushes, if you will, of targeting lanes and not just having one person there, but multiple. But they're getting scouted out, right? There's the Bloom once more. They're not falling victim to any of these shenanigans that Iron are throwing at them as Doraemon jumps on in with the stealth cast of the ult on his head. There is no escape as he falls down.
And just a little bit of disrespect there coming out from Doraemon, right? He knew that they were making a play on the top side of the map as Schoenfire has a second go, and this time he successfully drives it into a turret there. Will only be the one charge though, so just the single second tier in the mid lane going down, but nonetheless, ever so slightly, they are progressing this game.
They are progressing the game, and I was having a bit of a chuckle there. You can see Tien with one hand out. He's thinking, what else can I hit to try and bring these two together? It wasn't to be, and they're going to have to settle for that 4th turret. Not a bad one to pick up, but Hex Flash. He nearly got jump scared by the Observer toggle, but Kisei, he's on the hunt. He's found his target. He's, narrowly missed out as a fantastic disengage comes out there from the Caitlyn.
He cast the base animation as well, Skimmy. He wanted to hit that base and then cast the ult and kill him. I just love... It's not even that much of a blowout at this stage, but Kisei just always plays like it is.
He certainly is. He's always one to believe in himself and one to try and seek out those pop-off opportunities. You can see Foreigner right now being fairly aggressive, actually, going into the enemy jungle. There's nobody here to back him up apart from Hex Flash, which is going to reveal that vision to Kisei, who says, well, I can take you down. Lock out that volley with the Wind Wall. 4-level difference. Good luck surviving this, and they're going to try and scramble. Yes, we've got their red buff. but we've got to escort them out with 2 others.
And it's interesting, the Edge of Night picked up here first for the Ashe, right? So really prioritizing that ability to not get hit by those Blitzcrank hooks, to remain safe even in these skirmishes. But Envy could look at Jovi. There is a Stun Disc. He might get scooped.
He might get scooped, maybe his indecision as to who to go for will punish him, but in the end he gets tricky with it, flashes across the wall, hits the hook, finds the target, this Hex Flash. Nice spell shield, but it doesn't matter because I still got you anyway. In comes Tien, bouncing, blobbing, and still full HP. Double kill for Schoenfire as the Fed members of Grandeur rock up to the party and have their sights locked on this Azir. He's got no ultimate, he's just burnt Flash. He's got a bunch of mobility, but they're still running him down.
Yeah, run him down they will. It's a desperation TP, but that gets spotted out. It's Gimme. It's 20 minutes. The Baron's just spawned, and I think it's just going to die.
It really is. As soon as it spawns, it falls on down. It's a perfect ace into a Baron to end this one. They got 3 dragons as well. I mean, it's really them looking for the perfect game.
Yeah, I mean, they fund his initial pick onto Benvi here, but crucially, he does have the flash, right? Yes, it's a trade 1v1, but the thing that really turns this is just the bouncy house. I mean, look at how long these 2 members of Ion are locked up for. It's a Yasuo, that's the Zac hitting them with every single bit of CC he has in his kit. And this is all before Limus arrives, mind you, right? The second this Varus pulls up, you know that the fight is completely over. All that's left is to chase down Jovi, who honestly, if he keeps running, I think he might be able to get out.
I feel like there is a world in which you can continue running and you play the guessing game as do I go up or down from that top tri-bush, but felt like he had enough time to potentially run away with the TP in that pixel bush. But yeah, if it wasn't for those pesky stuns, he may have just got out of this one. Jovi is going to try and take the fight to Kiste. He's had a crack at it, but Kiste adds insult to injury and hits him with the 10% ultimate in his face, pops the shield and says try again. Out comes the ultimate from downtown, but Nebula not enough damage, and especially not when a teammate's there to block.
Look at Limus though, Skimmy is hunting.
He is hunting, training options not landing however, but Nebula is the target once again, hooking for the easy double kill. And Tien says, I can be as fed as you. He's 5-0.
They're having fun with it at this stage. Nowhere that Ion go are they safe. Even under their own turret, Kiste takes a trade, baits Jovi into thinking that he can kill him. And suddenly Tien is there to help him out to secure that double kill. And now that double kill snowballs into 4, snowballs into an inhibitor.
It certainly does, and they've got a dragon to look forward to try and really wrap things up in 2 minutes. But the Baron has been successful. They've acquired themselves nearly a 13k gold lead, and you really have to wonder, you know, what a team like Ground Zero can try and take away from this one, because you'd imagine it's all about the core fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like ever since they got a foothold in this game from that early invade, they have just been non-stop on the pressure. I mean, look at how low Kiste is, ulting back in here, has the confidence to say that he won't go down, and the hook on top of it to add insult into injury. So really just a really cohesive movement from Ground Zero around the map, right? You can see they're bringing their members everywhere, and now they're bringing them to the top side.
They certainly are. Look at that damage. Piercing onto 2 from Limus. His champion, his set, it's unethical at this point. Hook, narrowly missing as Doraemon skirts out of harm's way, but Hex Flash ceases to exist. He's on my screen, but not for much longer right now. He should be back in the fountain. He has no HP, and the rest of their base is soon to have none as well, as they're going to turn their attention into the mid lane. Top's being primed and ready as well. And this is them going for that systematic and chronological of, let's just take every single inhibitor and really make sure there's no way out.
Yeah, Jovi's going to be forced to base to respond to the remaining waves that are on the side of Ground Zero here. The third inhibitor will fall, and there's a decent wave in top side. Looks like they want to go for something here.
One hook to start it off, they found their target, they get their kill. Instantly Hex flashes out of the fight as Kiste picks that one up. The 2 turrets are dead, the Baron is still intact, it's about to fall off now. So no Baron inspired cannon minion here, but it doesn't really deter them because they're up by so much gold back. There's not much more to say. They're literally playing around Blitzcrank hooks and fighting to steal the kill off one another. 1 tower remains before Ion can get put out of their misery. 20 kills to 7, and they're going for a speed run here. 26 minutes was game 1. They're looking to try and do it quicker here in game 2, but Fona has something to say. He's just found 1 reset. He'll get a second shutdown as he becomes the brand, but that's a step too far. He's a little bit too squishy, and he can't do much more than answer back. But Kiste is hacking and flashing his way around and fighting with Limus for the kills, who puts a bow on it, hits the ace, and for me, has been the star of the show.
Limus has absolutely put on a clinic here in Game 2. Ground Zero as a whole have their fun with it, and what more fun way to end than with a 2-0.
What a very quick day it has been for both, well, yesterday as well as today here. The only series, the single best of 2, and Ground Zero wasted no time whatsoever dealing with that one. They've come in with a game plan, they come in with strategy, and they've executed that one flawlessly. Unfortunately for Ion, they were no match for their opposition here tonight, as we jump to a quick break and get ready to break down the series just after this.